Hello and welcome to the midweek edition of the Chicago Sports Podcast. We are the monsters of the madhouse, and we got a little monster show for you here today. Before we get going, I got Kyle and Darius in the house. How we doing, boys?
All good, baby.
Good. Our first section is going to be brought to you by our friends at Bridges Scoreboard. Bridges is your Northwest Indiana Chicago sports headquarters with the Hall of Fame menu. The coldest beer in Chicagoland. To prep for your next party or sports night, visit bridgesscoreboard.com or call 219-924-2206. So the title of our show is DeAndre Swift Feasts, and he has been feasting over the past couple of weeks. He's been doing great. The report was that DeAndre Swift took the O-line room, the quarterbacks, and the tight end room out for dinner ahead of the Rams game. And since he's done that, DeAndre Swift over the past 3 weeks, number 2 in fantasy points, number 4 in rushing, number 3 in rushing touchdowns, first in receiving yards, and second from yards from scrimmage for running backs, obviously. So we've been talking for weeks and weeks and weeks about the culture in Chicago and this and that and all this, and it's changing. Gentlemen, talk to me. What does this tell you about the culture in Chicago with DeAndre Swift saying, kind of to me, it seems like he took him out and said, hey, boys, we got to get this together after he came off to a slow start. Tell me what you think about this, D-Lock.
Hey, man, heck of a gesture, man, especially the fact that, Swift got a pretty healthy bag from us for coming to us this offseason. So it's a way to share the wealth. You know, those guys have improved since week 1. So, hey, man, why not show them love,
Yeah, absolutely. What you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how big of a deal it is. I don't know how much it impacted DeAndre Swift's play or how much it impacted anybody else playing the field, but it certainly speaks to the camaraderie of this team. I mean, obviously they're very close. I mean, if he was like, hey, guys, let's go to dinner, and they were like, no, we don't like you, it'd be a totally different story. But obviously these guys are starting to get to know each other. They like each other. They're becoming friends. They're starting to fight for one another. They love each other. You know, we've seen teams before where the locker room has a bunch of drama and a bunch of distractions going on, and it certainly doesn't help the situation. I do think ultimately DeAndre Swift was going to find his way in this team at some point, regardless of whether or not he took the rest of the team to dinner. But I will say I do think that meeting with the offense and Shane Waldron, I think that was probably more important to the success of this team over the last few weeks than DeAndre Swift taking on dinner. But that's cool, man. It's cool to see. Like Darius said, these guys on the offensive line, some of them are not making anything, guys. So for him to be like, hey, at least let me buy you a meal. I just got, $28 million from the Bears. I'll take you out and buy you dinner. So that's cool. It is cool to see that, like you said, Sean, it's like a culture change. These guys, it's a unit. It's not, it's not every man for himself. This is all for one and one for all. For sure.
I wonder if DJ Moore suggested Popeyes. Where'd you do after you signed your extension? I took the family to Popeyes. Hey, man. One other thing too, in the last 3 weeks, dude, we were really hard on the guy, so we got to give him a little flowers. Coleman Shelton, much improved, man. 0 sacks, 0 QB hits, 7 hurries, none in the last 2 games, 9 pressures, none in the last 2 games, 83 plus blocking on PFF over the past 2 games. So, maybe there was a little bit more to this dinner, or, maybe it was just something when they got together with Shane Waldron, the switch flipped just a little bit, and they're starting to find their way, or dare I say it, and not get beat up by you guys, it was just Carolina and Jacksonville.
Listen, man. Look, you got to take what they give, right?
Right.
And, those the linemen, man, they're unsung heroes, man. They mean so much to a team. They just don't get a lot of the limelight. So for Swift to take those guys and, give them the attention they deserve, man, that was a great thing.
Yep.
You can never get upset with camaraderie, man. Anything that builds camaraderie, you can never get mad at that.
It's nice to see the team coming together, man. I mean, a team is supposed to be a team, and this is just another sign of what we've been talking about. Like, man, this is good, man. And speaking of the team, before we dip into this, everybody, dip into Serendipity Ice Cream Parlor today and discover the delicious summertime taste. Like, Serendipity is serving up heaven. They're right across the street from Bridges, so hit Bridges and then jump across the street and hit Serendipity. Boys, we had some rumors, and let's just say rumors are rumors, and that's what they are until something actually becomes factual. But Sporting News now, Sports Illustrated, and Eric Lambert from Sports Mockery are all saying that our boy Ryan Poles picked up the old telephono and kicked the tires on Max Crosby and Myles Garrett. And I can't even tell you like what it would mean to me to have one of those guys on the opposite side of Sweat. Holy shit. I think we're the best defense in the league. I think we're the best team in the NFC. If this were to happen, I know Kyle, you dove into this a little bit. What did you find out when you went into these articles and did some digging around?
Well, first of all, let me say what's up to Cliff and Plank. We appreciate you guys joining the show, man. Please subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. Share it with your friends. But yeah, I mean, Sean, there's definitely some validity behind this. This is not just a rumor. And, a lot of these rumors, all the hearsay in the NFL when they're talking about trades or talking about adding a certain position. Some of it is probably more rumors, and some of it I think that these GMs purposely try to get the word out so that teams will actually start calling them and saying like, "Hey, we heard you guys are looking for a running back, or you're looking for a defensive end." I mean, from what I understand, reading the Sports Mockery article, is Ryan Poles has absolutely at least called these teams about like, "Hey, what exactly are you guys looking for if you're trying to get rid of Myles Garrett or Max Crosby?" So it's obvious that Ryan Poles is not afraid of making a trade at this point. I mean, he's traded for Chase Claypool, traded for Montez Sweat. He's done this before. Not surprising at all. I think ultimately the next two games will decide how serious the Bears are about, before the 2 games before the trade deadline, about how serious the Bears are about this team, where they think this team can go, if they're capable of winning the Super Bowl, if they're capable of competing in the NFC playoffs. If they go 2-0 and Ryan Poles believes that this team is possibly Super Bowl worthy, I think 100% he'd be willing to make a trade like this. Now, that being said, from what I read in the article, they're saying it would be at minimum a first and second round pick to acquire either of these two guys. I mean, both these guys are perennial Hall of Famers. They're both absolutely the best at their position.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett might be the best defensive player in the NFL. But, I mean, I think personally it would take more than a first and a second round pick to acquire one of these guys. I think these guys are asking for probably 2 first round picks or a first, a second, 2 fours, something like that. And then on top of that, once you get one of these guys, you have to account for their salary as well. Now, I think, Sean, we said Max Crosby's on a 4-year, $94 million deal, and Myles Garrett, $92 million deal. And Myles Garrett's on a 5-year, $125 million deal. Both of them, I believe, are in the second year of that deal. So you'd be getting them for a few years. If the Bears were going to make this trade, now is the time to do it, because you still don't have to pay Caleb Williams for at least 3 years, right? So this is the time to do it, because once you pay Caleb Williams, it's going to be a lot harder to add superstars around him, because he's going to get, if Caleb Williams continues to play the way he's played the first 6 weeks of the season, he is due for a big, big payday, guys. I think he's going to be the highest paid player in the NFL, 100%. When Caleb's contract is due, he's going to be the highest paid player in the NFL. I do think that I think some of this trade talk is serious, and even if it's not a Max Crosby or Myles Garrett or such a splash big name, I think at some point the Bears are going to make a trade before the trade deadline in 2 weeks.
What you got, D?
Hey man, you know the history of Ryan Pace, man. He's had a pretty consistent track record, since he's been here, that he will and deal. Now, we do understand what rumors are. Rumors are just rumors until something happens, right? My question to you guys, is it really worth it? Right? For what we would have to give up for a guy like Myles Garrett and Max Crosby, awesome players, Hall of Fame caliber talent. But is it worth it? Okay, because we seen what happened, because we were on. Remember when we got Khalil Mack? Everyone was saying that we were on the verge of something very very huge. You know what I mean? And it came and it went so quickly. You know what I mean? And then we ended up in hell when it came down to picks and money. You know what I'm saying? So my question is it worth it? Now I'm in love with the notion and the thought of it, but what kind of, what I'm saying, rubs me the wrong way is what we have to give up for a guy like that, guys like that. Because I'm thinking future. Yeah, we got Caleb, and Caleb looks like a sure thing. But this league is funny, man. This league is very funny, man.
It is. I mean, for me, we're looking at the Bears as what the top 6, 7, 8 defense in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the absolutely tragic accident that happened to Aiden Hutchinson, God bless him, and hopefully he's back next year. The NFC is wide open because Detroit, to me, was the best team in the NFC. Losing Hutchinson brings them down a notch. I'm not a believer in Minnesota. I don't really care. I'll argue too. I'm out of breath. I don't really care. Sam Darnold can kiss it. I just, you make this move, you're the best team in the NFC. Maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe the following year. You know, I mean, you have these guys for 2 years. So the defense is already locked up with all these young guys in the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going anywhere. Sweat's
True.
locked up.
Mm-hmm.
You get this guy. Now, I would like a 3 tackle, a 3 technique. And I would obviously, like Kyle and I discussed on the last show, O-lineman.
Yeah.
But for me,
Maybe slip a wide receiver in there because I don't think Keenan Allen's going to be Chicago Bear next year. But that's
yeah, I agree 100%. But you can also go pick up a guy, and I'm just throwing this name out there. I'm not saying a guy like a Khalif Raymond or something like that as your
Alan
third.
Lazard type player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Alan Lazard type player. You could slip right in there, and I think that would be great.
Maybe Tyler Scott is that guy. I mean,
That's
the Bears are the Bears already given up? I don't know. It's strange, man. It's strange. You know, you went and drafted this guy. There was nothing but all this talk around him. He's going to be a great player in the NFL. He was awesome in Cincinnati. They go and draft him, and then it's like, we'll start DeAndre Carter or Velus Jones. Man, he fell from grace pretty quick.
Here's another thing. I feel like getting one of those guys may be a bit of overkill. The reason why I say that, we have the best offense that we've ever had in this city, right? For this team, we have the best offense that we ever had. Now, do we have to be a number 1 defense to go to a Super Bowl and win it? Is that really necessary?
Certainly helps your odds for sure.
Well,
there's
does, but it only helps your eye. I mean, it helps your eyes if you have an inept offense, man. You know what I'm saying? I think if we finish in the top 10 defensively, I think that's more than good enough to win a Super Bowl. Because ultimately, it's going to come down to scoring points. We all know that.
Let me ask you this.
Really quick, Cliff in the draft, or Cliff in the chat, excuse me, thinks the Bears need to take a running back to replace Swift in a year or two. And we all know Mr. What's his name? Ashton Gentry. He's going to be hanging around when the Bears will be picking. I don't know personally if I want to use a first-round pick, especially if there's a top-end tackle there or something. But what do you guys think of that? The Bears drafting an RB next year instead of a wide receiver, they draft the dynamic running back.
I don't like it at all, man. The Bears have DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't be open to drafting a running back, but I wouldn't do it next year. And if you're going to do it, it'd be a very late round pick. You should draft based on best player available and also position of need. You should try to put those two things together. I mean, the Bears, last thing they need right now is a quarterback or running back. I mean, they just don't need, not to mention you guys, I don't know about you guys, but I thought Ethan Wheeler looked very good in the preseason. I'd like to see what that guy does when he's healthy. Now, obviously, it was a major injury for him, a torn ACL, but Ethan Wheeler looks like he's going to be a good player in the NFL.
I agree.
And obviously, they kept him on the team even after he was an undrafted free agent and got hurt, and he's still on the team. So I don't think he's going anywhere. I think right now, Khalil Herbert is the guy that they're going to be trying to getting out of town. And I think right now the Bears probably feel like they have one too many running backs. But let me ask you real quick before we move on, Darius.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you were talking about Khalil Mack, and I agree with you. Like, that contract we gave Khalil Mack was absolutely ridiculous. The best game he ever played was his first game. And that came back to bite us in the ass. Also, real quick, what's up, Ant Maz? But how do you feel about if you trade for Myles Garrett, Cleveland's going to eat some of that money. So right now, it's from spottrack.com. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just reading this off here, but they say trading for Myles Garrett, the new team that acquires him, in 2024, they'd be giving him $806,000. The best defensive end in the NFL would be making $800,000. The Bears would pay him $800,000 this year. 2025 in non-guaranteed money, that $800,000 is guaranteed. 2025 in non-guaranteed money, $19.8 million. So still pretty reasonable for the best defensive end in the NFL. And then
sure.
2020, and that's not guaranteed. And then
Right.
2026 is 25 million non-guaranteed. Oh yeah, and by the way, guys, in 2024, the Browns would eat 19.3 in dead cap, and then 2025 they eat 36.2 in dead cap. So this would crush the Browns, but it would help the Bears a lot.
Indeed. Now, put it to you this, if you put it like that, I don't want to give up anything future for them. Like if you want to take our first and second this coming draft, all right. But all this 2 or 3 first round picks for a guy, nah, I ain't with it. I'm not. Because
I agree with that,
I
man.
truly feel like I truly feel like we have a good enough defense and we're young over there too. We have time for guys to mature and get better. And our offense is strong. You know, so just giving up too much draft. Maybe I'm scoring from the time that we done it with Jay Cutler, we did it with Khalil Mack, and we did it with other players, and it never pans out in our favor. It's like for the moment, but it's nothing that's sustainable. You know
I
what
agree
I'm
with
saying?
that.
Like Poe said that he wants to take the North and never give it back. I think he wants to do it, in a more sustainable fashion.
Yeah, I would, just because the Bears are so young and they have so many players on rookie contracts. Basically, the whole entire team was drafted by Ryan Poles. I'd be okay right now with the Myles Garrett move, just because his money's not going to hurt you realistically. Because all the guys they have to pay, they're not going to have to do so for 2 or 3 years anyway. And at that
Yeah.
point, if you really wanted to, you could eat the rest of Myles Garrett's contract for that last year. It would just be the last year of his contract. Now that would still suck to eat that dead money, but I think Myles Garrett, just the player he is, compared to the rest of the defensive ends of the NFL, he's top 3 for sure to me personally. He's probably top 3 defensive players in the NFL. I think for him, I would love to have him here for 3 years because I think the Bears are capable of winning Super Bowl next year. And if say he's just that one piece they needed to get them over the top to become top 3 defenses in the NFL, Caleb Williams gets more comfortable. He's top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL next year. Mm-hmm. I think that it almost guarantees them a chance at winning a Super Bowl. I would have no problem doing it. I do understand the hesitance. I get it. I'm with you. I loved the Khalil Mack trade when it happened. Now I look back at it and I'm like, oh God, why did we do that? So much money, so much dead money the Bears ate for that. But I think Myles Garrett's a little bit better of a player than Khalil Mack. And I think he fits the Bears scheme better. The Bears right now they run the 4-3. He puts his hand in the dirt. I think Myles Garrett would be a huge addition for this team. And I agree with Sean, man. If they added Myles Garrett and Max Crosby, the Bears are the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, for sure. I would love Myles. I would love Myles Garrett here. He looks like a Bear. You know what I mean? Yeah. He looks like a Chicago
So
Bear.
does Crosby. So does Max Crosby. You could see Max Crosby in the Bears, no doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think Max just got paid though, right?
He's in his second year of his
second year.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, man.
What's up, Plank, Cliff, Ant Mass? Thank you guys for chiming in. I wanted to touch on Jonathan Allen is out, guys. I think he's out for the rest of the year. I think he tore his pec. So whoever said that on here, I think it was Ant Mass or Cliff. I do believe that to be true, and I think he is out for the year. They still do have Payne, and what was the other guy's name?
Newton from Illinois.
Illinois. Yeah. They'll still get after it, but if I think they asked us earlier to talk about this game coming up against Washington. I got the Bears winning 27-20. I think it's going to be a fantastic football game. I really do. And I guess we'll get through this weekend against Carolina, make sure no one gets hurt on Washington. And if they're coming in the way that they are, and the Bears are hopefully getting Brisker back, Stevenson back. I'm on the fence with Gordon. We still haven't heard anything about his injury anywhere yet.
They don't have to. They don't have to post anything about that until the week.
It didn't look good. I can tell you that. It did not look good. I was on the phone with you, Kyle. How many F-bombs did I drop when he went down?
He crawled off
the field. He goes down every year at some point.
Yep. Yeah, we have to sooner or later we got to start talking about the health of Jaquan Brisker and of Kyler Gordon. But I'll say this though, that first half of football might have been Kyler Gordon's best football he's ever played.
He was everywhere, man.
He was killing it, man. People were like, the Bears did a really good job stopping the run this week. That's kind of strange. That's a little bit different. And I'm like, oh, Kyler Gordon did a really good job stopping the run this week. I don't know if I'd say the Bears did. He had 3 tackles for loss before he left. He was all over the place. He was amazing. And you know what? He's not afraid of getting in the middle of those piles and putting himself in harm's way. He's a baller, man. But yeah, you're right, Darius. At some point, we got to start talking about, is he one of those Mike Brown type players where you're going to get him for 6, 8, 10 weeks of the season? But it's
I mean,
disappointing.
because just as important as Javon Dexter is to the front line, Kyler is that for our secondary. The nickel
Yeah.
position in this defense is a very critical spot.
Yeah.
And he does it well. He definitely does it well, but he's always something always happens.
Though in the NFL, don't you expect that you're going to miss most players for at least a couple of weeks during the season? You know, hopefully this isn't one of those 6 to 8 weeks or he tore it. I was sitting there with my fingers crossed, like, please just say it's a cramp. Please just say it's a
that's
cramp.
what I thought at first.
Hey, really quick on Cliff Victoria over here, man. Good job stashing Nick Chubb. Now look at his running backs that he's rolling out there, dude. Brees Hall, Joe Mixon, and Nick Chubb, dude. That's good. Good job, man. Those are.
Yeah, Cliff, just beware of playing Nick Chubb his first couple of weeks back. They're going to ease him back for sure, man. You don't go from
They miss him.
I don't know if you guys remember that injury, but you don't go from injury like that to just running into 25 carries in your first week back. That was brutal. That was absolutely. I felt so bad for him, man. The knee is not supposed to go any which way that his knee went that day. That's actually the second time that happened to Nick Chubb.
That's the second time it happened to him. They miss him though. They miss him dearly, man.
Yeah, for sure. Did you guys see the video of him like deadlifting like 600 pounds or whatever? I mean, he's an absolute
dude, that was crazy,
monster, dude. Yeah. And with a knee that just exploded, it's all wrapped up, and he's just like it's nothing. He's just squatting it and deadlifting it. I mean, he's an absolute beast, man. I will say this though, I have Amari Cooper in one of my leagues, and I kind of felt like Amari Cooper's just been one of those guys that no matter where he's played, it's kind of like he's kind of scheme proof. He'll get his targets, he'll get his catches. I think that Browns offense might be bad enough to make everybody look bad, even Nick Chubb, as much as I love that guy. That offense is absolutely horrendous. I don't know about you guys, but every year in fantasy, I pick one team, one offense, and I'm like, whoever this offense is playing this week, that's going to be my pickup fantasy defense. That's going to be my
that's how I do
defense.
it.
That for me this year is the Browns. Anytime the Browns are playing anybody, I'm picking up that. I just picked up the Bengals this week.
Nah, hey man. Go find somebody else, man. The Bengals are bad, bro.
But the Bengals looked good against the Bengals defense looked good against the Giants, and I think the Giants are better than the Browns, man. The Browns offenses, and they just traded Amari Cooper.
Yeah,
they're awful. They're awful. They are awful. I bet you guys that Jerry Jeudy might get. I think he's going to get traded too.
Hey, you want to know something really quick on Ant Mass and this 40 takeaways, dude? The Bears have 14 so far. They're on that pace for 40. They are on that pace. I mean, 12 games at 14, that's 28. Then you have 5 more games to go. I mean, they're going to be really close, man. They're going to be really close to that 40. That's for sure.
Yeah, what they're doing right now is historic. Same as the Baltimore's run defense. I mean, I've never seen the Bears. We've seen some good Bears defenses, guys. Can you remember a time that they took the ball away 3 times a game?
Yeah.
I mean, this is insane. It's insane.
And I will tell you, I agree with Cliff Victoria. I did a backflip when he went to Buffalo because I've been struggling with Josh Allen all year. He finally got a number 1, and I'm a huge fan of Amari Cooper. So I love this. Cooper might save my fantasy season, for the love of Christ.
Sean, look at Cliff's last comment here, guys. So he also has Chase Brown on his bench. Jeez, dude.
Yeah, you loaded.
He's like a 4-player league.
Next year.
I don't know how he did that.
What's going on, Cheryl? Thanks for checking in.
Well, I don't want to dive too deep into the Bears and Commanders because we're going to be talking about this for the next 2 weeks, guys. But I will say this: I do think ultimately, I think the Bears should win this game. I think if you look at the Bears on paper, like we've talked about this, Dustin said it. The best unit on the field for both these teams is the Chicago Bears defense. As a matter of fact, the Chicago Bears defense is going to be the best unit on the field most weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, they're top 7 in every statistical category except for rushing yards allowed per game. And they just moved up to 14? They were at 18. They just moved up to 14. So they're getting better. But I will say this. This is not the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's not the Indianapolis Colts. It's not the Los Angeles Rams with everybody on IR. This Commanders
It's gonna be a
team.
fun football game, dude.
I know this sounds crazy, but the most impressed I've been with the Commanders this season is losing to the Baltimore Ravens, because that Ravens team
100%.
those games can get out of hand pretty quickly. The Ravens can dominate and beat the out of teams, but the Commanders hung in there, man. They gave them a fight. It's a very young team. Yeah, they don't have as good of a roster, and they still looked like they were a competitive NFL team against the Baltimore Ravens. I do think the Bears are going to win, but this one is good. I know I said this last week that the Jaguars game could be closer than people think, and the Jaguars dropped 4 touchdowns and didn't let it happen.
I was going to say,
but this week I really do think the Commanders. I'm not. If the Bears were like, say for some reason they were like -6, I wouldn't touch that. I would not. Absolutely not.
I think it's going to be a tight game for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
within a touchdown.
Well, I'm gonna turn into I'm going to turn into a shock jock again, fellas.
Uh-oh.
I don't think DC scores 20 points against us.
Oh, I thought you were going to pick the Bears to lose.
No. I don't think DC scores 20. I think this is a game where DC is going to look. They're not Jacksonville, of course, but they're going to look a lot like Jacksonville. I just think our defense is locked in, and they know what they're going up against. And I just don't think, Baltimore, the reason why that game was so close, because Baltimore their defense has an issue with speed. Like that's been their problem for the last couple of years now, is that they struggle. That defense, they hit hard, they're very disciplined, but they struggle with speedy guys. And I just think the way we're going offensively and the way we play defense, I think it's going to be, if we control the pace of this game and control the trenches with the no huddle and things of that nature, it's going to be very, we make DC play from behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it turns into a passing game, the Bears could trounce them.
I do like Robinson, though.
Also, guys, at some point soon here, I mean, I love the Bears. They're a great team. They're getting better, but they're young. Caleb Williams is a rookie. He's going to make rookie mistakes at some point. At some point, some team we're playing is going to have a pick 6 against us, or a block field goal for a touchdown, or a return punt for a touchdown. Actually, the Bears punt return. The Bears have not been good on covering punts this year. Actually, they're ranked near the bottom in some special teams categories. The Jacksonville Jaguars had like 168 return yards against the Bears. The Bears had 0 against Jacksonville. So obviously, the Bears special teams was dominate into that game. At some point, stuff like that, just, you know how it is, man. It's so tough to pick teams to go 6-7-0 in the NFL. Even if the team is better than every team they're playing, you just expect at some point some terrible call by the refs or some crazy play that gives. I just see that coming. I'm not saying it's coming against Washington, but I do think Washington has a lot better chance to keep themselves in the game and take advantage of something like that than Jacksonville or Carolina. I think Jacksonville might actually end up being the worst team in the league this year. I do believe when Jacksonville gets back from London after this weekend, Doug Peterson will be fired. If he's not, I don't know what they're doing. If he's not, I have no way. I don't know what their goal is. I mean, what's the point of keeping Doug Peterson? He obviously is not doing a good job in Jacksonville. There's that team is not. Did you guys see that little clip of the Jaguars practice?
No.
You didn't see it? It's just they're all in a line, and then they run and they get handed the ball off like they're running back, but the whole team does it. And there's like the pads on the ground, and they just jump onto the pad on the ground. Like there's no like jumping over anything or spinning around and then falling onto the pad. They just run up to the pad and drop onto it and then roll off and walk. And the next person does it. And the next person. And somebody wrote in there, I wonder why we stink. This is what we're learning. I'm like, dude, what is the point of that drill?
Don't worry, Aunt Mass. Carolina's going to probably be 2, if not 1. I think New England, Carolina, Jacksonville, 1, 2, 3, as far as worst, how they finish at the end of the year. New England might end up only with their 1 win against Cincinnati, dude.
I'm sorry. Darius, I'll let you talk in a second, but there's no way the Cleveland Browns are just out of that conversation. That's not possible. I don't know if you guys have been watching that team, man, but it's absolutely brutal, dude.
It's
about Cleveland. Sorry.
But the funny thing, they was able to keep up with Philadelphia. Like, they kept Philadelphia at bay, You know
what, Darius, I think we could talk about that, but I think that says more about Philadelphia than it does.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. What does it tell you about them?
Yeah, I don't think they're as good as people think.
What did I tell you at the beginning of the year about the Eagles, Kyle?
You did. Sean did.
I said they were more like the team that finished the year than less like the team that started the year coming into the season.
Yeah.
I'm not a big believer in Jalen Hurts. I'm just not.
Me neither. I'm not either, but
I think he's a good quarterback. Just something about him, dude.
I think the bigger problem they have over there in Philly is the coach. He's the issue.
Nixon,
they fell out with him last year, and the bottom fell out on their team. And it's looking more of the same this year because of his, I guess you want to call it cockiness. Going forward on critical fourth downs and not getting them. And leaving points out on the field. A lot of those guys, man. It's deflating when you lose games by 2 or 3 points when you should have took points and you're going for it on 4th and 4 just because you're in the red zone. There's a thin line between, genius and insanity, but
Yeah, Darius, and that was the thin line between the Bears beating the Colts and the Colts beating the Bears. Take the field goals, man.
Yeah.
Kick the field goals, man. Kick the field goals.
Yeah,
I agree, man. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Nick Sirianni's always had like an arrogance about him, man. I feel like he thinks he has the best team in the NFL. And you know what? On paper, they have an excellent roster. But hey, Nick, I don't know if you've been watching lately or not, but you guys are not the best team in the NFL, not even near it.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Not at all.
I love that Cliff said Carolina's the gift that keeps on giving.
We're gonna give Cliff the quote of the day right there.
Darius, what else you got about this game, man?
I think that's it about this game, but I was just really thinking about the next 3 games. I'm a little bit superstitious. Everybody's assuming that we're just going to clean these 3 games up. And I feel like one of these games we're going to lose just because we ran off so many in a row. From a percentage standpoint, is one we have to lose.
Darius, I said the same thing on 4 stars. I mean, listen, if I look at each 3 games individually, I'm like, nope, we can't lose that one. We can't lose that one. Can't lose that. But in the back of my head, maybe it's just because I'm a lifetime Bears fan. Yeah. I'm like, there's no way the Bears go 6-0, right? It's just not possible. Like, it's not possible. Like, they're going to lose to one of these teams. But when you go look at these teams on paper, you're like, no, they're not. I mean, Sean, what did you say their defenses were ranked?
They are, I actually have it here. They're 27. Their next 3 opponents, 28 Washington, 27 Arizona, 25 New England.
I mean, God, this run for the Bears against terrible defense is historical.
We kind of touched on a lot of this in the off season when we looked at the schedule, right?
Yeah.
Because but what we said, we didn't mention too much about the defenses. We mentioned the fact that we were going to be facing rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
A lot of quarterbacks with not a lot of experience. You know what I'm saying?
First and second year.
But Caleb Williams is learning so fast. He's going to take advantage of these terrible defenses, man. Like if this was Drake May, the Bears who drafted Drake May, I'd be like, we're going to lose one of these games because Drake May's not catching. He's not up to speed on the NFL. But Caleb Williams looks like he's generational. He's so smart. He's picking this stuff up so fast. I mean, God, the guy's calling his own plays, man. He's 6 games into his NFL career,
and he's changing plays at the line of scrimmage, man.
Here, I'll tell you this. If they beat Washington, they're going 3-0 because they're not losing to Arizona, who's absolute dog shit, and New England's even bigger pile of dog shit. So if they win next Sunday, the Bears are going 3-0 in this stretch. I'll bet my fucking mortgage payment on it.
Hey, but check it out. Check it out now. I'll be pissed if we lose against New England. That'll piss me off.
You know what? That'll probably be the game they choke away.
I won't be too upset if Arizona eats one out. You know what I'm saying? But losing New England, now beating DC, beating Washington, I already feel like we're gonna do that. But beating Washington, turn around, losing to New England. Come on, man.
Sean, you want to tell Darius what it's the 18-year anniversary of? If we're going to talk about
today the 18th anniversary is today.
Oh yeah, I know.
The Bears are who we thought they were.
Come back.
It's Bears. If you're gonna beat the Cardinals, don't do it like that, please.
Yeah,
God.
don't do it like that.
Just beat the shit out of them. I can't. I don't know if I can handle it like that.
That was a dog shit Cardinal team too. Yeah. Matt Leinart was the starter, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
but the
you know
Bears
what,
were they
though?
thought they were.
And I forgot to bring this up earlier when we were talking about this because I looked at last year earlier, today or yesterday, I can't remember. But at this point last year in the season, the Bears were 1-5, and we just lost at home to Minnesota 19-13 in a game in which Justin Fields got hurt and Tyson Bagent finished. We've come a long way in a freaking year, boys.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, this
Yes,
is a
indeed.
complete turnaround. So,
Yeah, I want to say 2-1 in the next 3 games, but when I look at each game individually, I think the Bears ultimately will go 3-0. I think it's going to be a close game against Washington, but I think they're going to end up being 3-0. Once you get into Green Bay is when you got to start talking about Well, now we'll find out who the Bears really are.
now here, let me ask you this, Darius, because you
Mhm.
just said you would be crushed if we lost to New England. If we lost to
Yeah.
New England, but we came back and beat that team up north the next week, would you be happy?
Ecstatic. Ecstatic. Listen, we can have the worst season of all time. If we can beat those guys up there, listen. Hey, you done gave me enough to make it through the next season, man. Like we have to beat them. You know, another loss against them is a blow, man. Like
Hey,
seriously.
Ant-Man said he was at that game. That was the Urlacher game, man. He took that game over. He had like 21 tackles in that game.
Yeah.
The forced fumble that Tillman ran in. Freaking Hester had the punt. I mean, that first half was depressing as can be. And then that second half was like, holy crap, who are these guys?
Darius,
And the only unfortunate thing about that game is that's the game that Mike Brown went out with the Liz Frank injury.
Yeah,
Yep.
I forgot about that.
Darius,
Yeah.
if I could promise you 2 Packers wins if the Bears go 0-3 for the next 3 games, would you take it?
Hell yeah.
He takes 2
Hell
wins over
yeah.
3. Yeah, it's depressing, man. And whenever I look at the stats for the last 6-7 years, Bears for Packers, I'm like, oh God, I can't even look at this. It like makes me embarrassed, and I don't even play for the team. But you guys, the culture is changing. The culture is changing, and you know what? I think from what I've heard, you guys, I'm a bartender. From what I've heard around, just talking to people, Packers fans, Vikings fans, Lions fans, they're finally starting. They're coming in. They're like, man, that Caleb Williams, man, he looks pretty good. I'm like, yeah. I act like I drafted him. I'm like, yeah, I know. He does. He does look pretty good.
Yeah, man. I'll take that in a heartbeat, though, Kyle.
You know, just
that'd be nice.
Just watching him, man. That corner fade to Keenan Allen, dude. That thing, that was a pass. I don't know if I've ever seen in Chicago before. To be honest with you.
Before we leave the show here, let's just go over some since we're in a bye week, we don't really have any specific matchups to talk about, you guys. Just some numbers for you. Now, when you talk about a quarterback coming to the league and succeeding or winning a few games here and there, that's one thing. But when your quarterback is breaking every record in the history of the Chicago Bears, you're starting to think the word generational, right? Caleb Williams is the first number 1 overall pick in NFL history to win 4 of his first 6 games. He's the 4th rookie in the NFL with at least 4 touchdowns and 50 rushing yards in one game. He won Air Player of the Week, which I believe was the earliest a rookie has ever won Air Player of the Week in the NFL. In the last 3 games, he's the only Bears rookie to put up 3 consecutive 100-plus passer ratings. And in the last 3 games, he has 687 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He's the first rookie with 4 touchdowns in an international game and a 79% completion percentage for an NFL rookie with 4 touchdowns and 25-plus pass attempts. That's the highest completion percentage in the history of the NFL for rookies. And not to mention, if you go down the list and talk about each individual player on the Bears, he's got DJ Moore on pace for 10 touchdowns. He's got Cole Kmet on pace for 10 touchdowns. He's got Keenan Allen on pace for 8 touchdowns. He's got DeAndre Swift on pace for a couple receiving touchdowns. I mean, he's got Roma Dunze on pace for 6 touchdowns this season. I mean, it sounds like Caleb Williams is going to get mighty close to that 25-30 touchdown range. And that's exactly where we said if he did that, we would all be absolutely ecstatic if he did that for the season. He's on pace to do it.
Hey, Dennis, I love your attitude, bro. Love it. I would love for that to happen.
What's up, Brandon?
What's up, Brandon? And Dennis, thanks for joining us again, man. Really appreciate you hanging around.
Yeah, man. It's a much needed rest, though. With the little injuries that we have, this is much needed.
Usually I would say this is too early for the bye week, but I agree, man. After what the secondary's gone through in the last few weeks, this is like perfect time for them to go to the bye week. Sean, anything else before we?
Well, if we're gonna add, to Caleb Williams, his 79% completion percentage is the highest game mark in the history by a rookie with 25 attempts and 4 passing touchdowns.
I just said that.
Did you just say that? I missed. Sorry, I've been up a while, dude. I'm struggling over. I'm on the struggle bus this week.
Go ahead.
No,
I was just gonna say appreciate everybody before we get out of here. But if you got more Caleb Williams stuff,
no. I'm happy that we're 4-2 on the bye week. We have 2 weeks off, and we need to say, hey, no matter what, we're going to be tied for second or third place in the division. Packers already lost in the division, so we should stay ahead of them no matter what. I mean,
yeah, and you know what? For a team that
they'll be percentage points ahead of us, but let's go Houston.
For a team that, and let's go Detroit. I don't want anybody in the division to be undefeated. And for a team that started off the first 2 games of the season without scripting a single play, they say most teams come out of the bye week and actually script like the first 30 plays instead of the first 15. So that's the Bears coming out of the bye week against Washington definitely gives them a leg up.
That's the other thing.
At least they're going to be rested.
That's the other thing I like about that game, dude. We're coming off the bye, dude. Like, let's go.
I'm gonna shoot this last one at you guys.
Go ahead.
By next month, I think we'll be in first place in the division.
With Aiden Hutchinson out, it's a new ball game, man. That Aiden Hutchinson, it's a huge deal, man. That's a huge deal.
I'd have to look at the schedule just to see. I mean, it's definitely not if Minnesota's playing Carolina and then Jacksonville, and then we're definitely not going to be first. But yeah, if the NFC North starts beating up on each other, yeah, we're definitely. I could possibly see the Bears being in first place the next.
I think by next month, I think we'll be in the top spot.
Here, I'm going to continue to say
at least tied for it, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, if they go 3-0 in these games, it's going to be hard for them not to be in the top spot.
Right. And listen, I'm rooting for 3-0, man. But like I said, man, I play percentages, man. And running off 6 straight, man, that's a thing, man.
I gotta tell you,
that's a trade for Myles Garrett type run. You're like, let's go win it now.
Hey, yeah. I mean, let's press the button.
Minnesota's 5-0. I don't even want to tell you their next bunch of games because it's a joke. After the Lions, they play the Rams, the Colts, the Jaguars, the Titans. Then they play us. Then they play the Cardinals,
Jesus.
the Falcons, the Bears, Seahawks, Packers, Lions. So they're coming in. They're 5-0 already, and they're coming into their easiest part of their schedule.
Yeah, Detroit's got to beat them. Please, God, Detroit beat them because they're going to be like 9-1.
I already put money on Detroit.
I like Detroit in that game.
Plus 114, and I already slammed that.
I just wish it was in Detroit. That's the only thing I wish about that game. I wish it was in Detroit.
Yeah.
Minnesota's better at home, and Detroit's worse on the road.
I think it's going to be an interesting game because if Detroit is who they look like they're trying to be, they're going to figure out this blitz, man. This blitzing situation in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? He's going
to get that ball out
quick. Passes, man. Quick passes.
Yeah,
play action.
But you got to know, it's imperative that you know where to throw that football against Minnesota. Like that, I've taken a look at the scheme that they run, that Flores has. Very slick, man. It's very slick, man.
It's a good.
You get the same looks, but they bring that extra man out of nowhere, man. If you're not prepared for it, ooh.
Hey, really quick, Lions got the Vikings, obviously. Titans, Packers, Texans, Jaguars, Colts, Bears, Packers, Bills, Bears, Niners, Vikings. So the Vikings definitely have. I mean, them beating Houston and San Francisco was huge for them, dude. Like, those are 2 of their toughest games on their schedule, for the love of Christ.
Well, I mean, and beating the Jets is no easy feat. I'm not saying the Jets are the best team in football, but that's a formidable opponent. I will say that
they're going to
I will
be
say
better.
I will say I think the Jets beat themselves more than the Minnesota Vikings beat them. That was Aaron Rodgers' worst game I can remember in a very long time. Probably, I mean, the 3 interceptions by Aaron Rodgers is that's unbelievable. You don't see that very often, but you got to give them credit, man. They won the game. Whether it was, I think if that game was 2 minutes longer, the Jets win that game. But
and if you can trick him, if you can trick Aaron, you work you know what I'm saying, you working with something.
Hey, just remember, too, guys. Jordan Love has 2 more interceptions in 2 less games than Caleb Williams has on the year.
Yeah. He threw a whole bunch of interceptions against Minnesota, correct?
He still has my favorite pass of the year. That pass out of the end zone against the Rams. That's my favorite pass of the year, dude.
Yeah.
I agree so hard.
All right, guys. Well, it's probably time for
we're gonna wrap this thing up. I want to say, hey man, thanks to Dennis, Cliff, Antmass, Plank, Cheryl, Brando,
Brian.
Brian. Who'd you say?
Brian White just popped in here.
Oh,
so
Brian,
I hope the Bears defense can stop Green Bay.
I'm going back through. Thanks to all of our sponsors, guys. Bridges Scoreboard. Serendipity Ice Cream, Elite Icons,
Underdog Fantasy, River Street Tavern,
River Street Tavern, TC World of Wonders. Thank you guys all for the support. Enjoy the week off. We get to turn the page on Monday and get the number 1 versus the number 2 pick. Caleb returns home. The Bears invade the nation's capital. Let's get it, boys.
Yeah, you guys enjoy. There's some great games this weekend, guys. Go enjoy some football, man. At least stress free. No, don't have to worry about the Bears losing.
Go Houston. Go Detroit.
Thanks, guys. Love you all. Appreciate you all.
Thanks. Until next week, man. Bear down, everybody. Love you guys.